Like, again, I fucking hate quoting jobs. I will turn jobs away just because I don't feel like quoting. It's true. I'm just like, wow, that's just so much work. It's going to pass on that one.
See, what a difference from the past, right? You was just like, you chase after somebody that you really, really wanted.
Yeah.
Now it's just like,
Well, because that, in the end, you learn the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
You're listening to The Angry Designer, where we cut through the industry bull to help frustrated graphic designers survive and thrive.
Cheers.
oh, there we go.
I feel I was neglected while I was sick with alcohol.
Yes, you didn't get
Maybe
much,
that's why I got
much
sick.
drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. I'm totally recovering though. So you guys got to bear with me here. I might sound a little funny. I'll try to keep it clean. No sneezes.
Try to keep all the mucus and stuff off the microphones.
All right. But like this thing keeps lingering. I'm still far from like 100% for sure.
Really, eh?
Yeah. And I keep talking to people and they're saying that it takes weeks, if not months, before your energy level gets back.
Really?
Yeah, kind of sucks.
God.
So that's where it's like, okay, I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready. But if I fall asleep halfway through,
I'll just gently give you a prod under the table.
Wake up. So the one good thing about being sick, though,
Yes.
is I got a lot of time to catch up on TV.
Oh, you did?
I did. And
Nice.
Sean,
Yes.
I saw the movie The Batman.
Oh, the Batman.
Right? We haven't connected on that one.
Yes, that's right. We have not talked about that.
We have not.
Oh.
That was pretty fucking awesome.
It was great. Now, the one complaint that I've heard, I'm sure you're going to back this up. Everybody I've talked to that's seen this movie has said it's too fucking long.
It's
like 3 hours.
But I guess because I was in my own. I was sick, so I couldn't watch it straight through. I kept on falling asleep only because I was so sick. I had to do
perfect.
it right. So I didn't notice it. But the funny thing is, I literally was like, you know what? I want to stop it. I want to watch the whole thing at once. I felt that was neglected. So I don't know if it's too long or not.
Okay, so you've watched it the first time.
3 different parts, and it
bits
felt
and
like
pieces.
the parts that it's like an hour at a time, and they were perfect stops. So it was a pretty badass. Like it was
great.
Yeah, it was so badass,
so
dude.
good.
It was so dark. It was not like your typical, it wasn't like a typical DC at all.
It wasn't. No, not even close.
Like I loved it. Like even like the one thing that Hollywood really messed up with Batman is that they made everybody so like the super villains. They made them super villains. Yeah. And they were like, are they human? Are they? We're here. The cool thing about this, it was all like they were all people.
Yeah.
That's the crazy part.
Like
it wasn't like they were.
Yeah, like that Paul Dano guy was just a psychopath.
Geez,
like
yes.
you could see somebody doing this kind of stuff.
And that's why this whole thing was just creepy.
Yeah,
It was. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but
it's really good.
And Batman, he didn't sparkle in the daytime. Thank God. I was unsure.
We're all on Team Edward when it comes to what's his head, right?
Yeah, right. I was worried that Batman was going to sparkle in the sun.
But he was really good.
He did a great job.
He played the best kind of Bruce Wayne and the best kind of Batman, I think. Like all credit to what's his head, the other guy, what was his, Christian Bale. Yeah, he was really good.
He did really good too.
But this guy was like really dark and really moody and just just like a fucked up kind of Batman.
He the whole thing was just so different. It was worth the watch. Definitely worth the watch.
So
right?
good. So
and
good.
it was just like, again, it was so real and it was so gritty and it was just like it was money and just grunge and that's like
and he was like a billionaire.
Yeah.
But
again, you would never know
that, right? He really kind of lived nice and low key. He had an old Corvette for his car.
Right? Like again, it was just
he could have way more than that probably. But
I want to be a billionaire. I want to go around and buy like social media channels and just make jokes and challenge like the presidents, psychopath of other countries to a fight, even though they're in the middle of a war. Like, who the fuck?
Oh, being rich would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Jeez, right? So that is definitely the challenge of graphic designers. Hands down.
We all want to
be
rich, don't we?
I think everybody wants it. The difference is at least we're willing to work.
Yes.
Big part of the generation right now, they want to be rich, but they don't want to work.
That's right.
Right. Where I think at least, graphic designers, they're not scared to work.
No.
Just they suck at the money side of the business.
Well, this is, and you're absolutely right. That's the thing is like, we love doing this, and and we've talked about this before. Like this sometimes doesn't feel like a job.
Well, and I think that's half the problem.
You're like,
right?
You're going to pay me for doing this?
Seriously, right? Yeah, that's something that I struggled with all the time, right? That's something that I refer to as seller's guilt.
Seller's guilt,
right? And this is like seller's guilt, right? Because again, you enjoy what you do so much. Yeah. You love what you do so much that you're like, oh, there's no way I can charge you like this much money for this, because it was just it was all me. It was fun.
Yeah.
Let me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you're especially early on in your career, you love it. You take pride in your work. It's hard to believe that you're actually getting paid to do this shit.
Yeah, totally.
And so it's like, no. You know what? Keep your money. Just it's hard, right? So this is where this whole seller's guilt comes from. Like, honestly, and I mean, even nowadays, when I make customers very, very, very happy, it's still sometimes hard for me to like want to accept. I mean, I
slip them the bill.
Right, I slip them the bill. Like, okay, well, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you're happy and the experience is better. Now here's your bill. Get me my Corvette. Get me my vintage Corvette. It's true, right? Like, we need to stop this feeling guilty bullshit
this is true.
As designers.
This
right?
is true.
It's true.
It's a service that we're providing, and
because we're fucking good at
we're good at this kind
and
of
we
thing.
provide. But again, because we're so damn close to it, and it's art and money have this is something that's never worked.
No,
right?
No.
I think. Forever, artists have always had challenges with this, right? How do you make money as an artist?
Yes, and you die first, and then
then your shit's worth something.
Then
right?
your shit is going to be worth something. Yeah.
So I think that's where graphic design has a leg up.
This is true. Yeah, you can actually make money in the now,
as long as you're figured. But like honestly, I mean, there's probably so many other parts to this. Like I'm sure designers feel like if they charge, they might not get the job, or if they charge too much, they might not get referral work, or work thereafter.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, so it's hard to put the price because of that. Right. Because they're battling with that. Maybe, they're scared if they charge too little, they're going to leave money on the table. And they're like, because again, it's a big unknown. That's the one thing that not too many people talk about.
You're absolutely right. Cause it's like, it is such and I remember just freelancing years ago. It was just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you're providing a good service and you've got the skill set to back it up. But it's like you said, seller's remorse. Like you're just like, I don't know.
Seller's guilt.
Seller's guilt. Sorry.
Seller's
guilt. It's just, you don't know what to charge. And it's kind of bad. These are the kind of things that we really need to kind of
flush out,
engage, or like tell people exactly what.
So that is, and it's definitely what we're covering today, which is kind of a good one. And this is a topic, I know, thank God. Otherwise, we just ranted on for like 10 minutes in the wrong direction.
I thought you were going to cut my salary or something there.
Sean.
Talking all this money and all these hard times,
Yeah. Guess what?
Yeah. It's $2 an hour.
A new car. But listen, before we get too far, by all means, everybody welcome. And, if you like what you hear, make sure you, give us a great review, hit us up on our Instagram, give us a thumbs up, whatever you need to. But, join our community. Today's a good topic.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really good topic.
There's no question that and there's so much to this topic. Honestly, I don't think we'll be able to do justice in one episode.
No,
we'll try, whatever. But if it spills over to 2 episodes, so be it. But like designers and money. It's like money, and I've always said it's the necessary evil. But people have to remember that it is necessary.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And I mean, hey, by all means hate on it because it's evil, but because you can hate on it, you can blame it for everything. I want to help your business succeed, but I got to charge.
I got to charge this much because I've been doing this for so many years.
Right. It's and I think a lot of this starts with the fact that, okay, most designers, most graphic designers, especially freelancers, but the ones who start agencies, right? Yeah. They generally, they lack business knowledge, not because we're morons and not because of this whole left brain, well, maybe some of them, but this left brain, right brain bullshit. It's because, a lot of us, we're technicians. We get into this because we love it.
Yes.
Right? We love it. We're artistic by nature. We're like, hey, we can actually make some money out of this. Right?
Yeah.
And so everything that we do, the courses we do, even like when you go to design school and shit like that, they always, teach you about design.
Yes.
Not once do they ever fucking teach you the business of the design.
Not even, and not even at the end of your course. Like this is the stupidest kind of thing. Like this is stuff that should be taught in at least one class. Somebody talk about it a little bit.
How to price, how to quote, different options.
Yes.
That's what we're going to cover today, fucking for sure.
That's
awesome.
Like,
I mean, the truth is, it's like, what we need to really do is like, okay, for me, for 20 years, like seriously, not the first 20 years, but the first, like, I swear 12, 15 years of zfactor, it wasn't, the struggle for me was never, the art or never, the design portion of this. That was passion led, right?
Yeah.
The struggles,
skill-based, skill set.
Well, of course.
You every time you did something, you would improve on it and you just get better at it.
Right.
You went to school for this kind of thing. Studied it. Yeah. So you know that inside.
The struggles though we had hands down was the business side of this, right? And it was because it didn't come natural.
Right.
Some people, no matter what they do, no matter what they touch, they got that Midas touch. They can make $1 million bucks, whether they're, they're selling fucking skateboards, whether they're cleaning people's cars. It's like all of a sudden, like, I'm going to start a business next week. And they're like making $250,000 a year by doing nothing.
Yeah.
That's just, those people, I mean, good for them.
Yes.
But they're driven by the bottom line.
Right.
Designers aren't.
No.
Right? We're not bottom line. And that has been the one thing that has been the hardest thing for me to learn, after being in business all these years, right? Was the whole business side, because it didn't come naturally. Right? And again, you didn't learn about it at school, right? And there's some stuff online here and there, but nobody really kind of breaks it down the way we need to know.
This is true.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, again, we lack practical business knowledge, like straight up 100%. Right?
Yep.
It's not like the whole Field of Dreams idea, whereas you keep building it, they will come.
They will come. Well, yes and no. I mean,
but
eventually, but it's going to take. But you have to get there in the first place, right?
Well, no, the funny thing is, hey, sure, you can start developing a name for yourself.
Yes,
but you're going to end up broke if you don't figure out how to fucking charge.
If you don't know exactly,
That's
you don't know how
the
to
whole
do that.
point.
Yes, because you could end up way over your head with this kind of thing.
Absolutely, taking on costs, not knowing how to manage your money and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Like, in general, creatives do lack practical business knowledge, right? Like they're not sure how to keep track of their costs. Half of them have no fucking idea even what their costs are, right? What their overhead is, right? Like, what do you mean overhead, right? This is shit that, nobody tells you about.
Yes.
You have to start learning this, like how to plan for rainy days.
Yes.
Like how many people are literally running their businesses just month by month, right? They barely have enough money to survive from one month to the next.
Yeah.
And something dries up, you're
This
screwed.
is the thing. You lose a major client or something like that, your runway is very short. You're boned.
Absolutely, right?
Yes.
Nobody talks about future planning, how to plan for the future. Do you just work job by job? Do you X amount savings? Like none of this shit. Like, and this is the most important stuff. Oh shit.
Taxes at the end too.
Man, that screws over so many people.
That's going to get you.
Yeah. I think the plan that a lot of people do is they just assume that if they charge enough per job, everything else will work itself out.
Yes.
Right? But that's the part that, like, just because you got a great hourly rate doesn't mean the rest is going to take care of itself. Because again, you get surprises, rainy days, taxes, all that bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Major projects that you're working on that all of a sudden that project is done.
Yep.
That person doesn't need you anymore. And you're like,
now what?
That was my main client.
Dried up, right? The well's dry.
Yes, exactly. So you need some seed money to go pound the pavement looking for other clients, right?
Dude. I've known, I've had some colleagues throughout the years, and they were making as freelancers 150 grand a year.
Yeah.
Broke as fuck. They could never afford. They were using old computers. It's just like, dude, you're grossing this much, but then you realize, they're in the hole because they're not figuring out. They're getting all this money. They're buying all this stuff up front that they don't need. And there's nothing when it can, because they're not managing those peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
Right. And again, it's like long-term practical business algebra. And I mean, pricing is probably one of the most important parts. Yeah. Of course, the other things maybe in the future we'll talk about running a business, right? Operating a business. Sure. That's a great topic.
That's great. That is good.
And there's been a lot, we've always run very lean.
Yes.
Right here. It's like when we buy a computer, we make sure that fucking thing lasts for 4, 5, 6 years, if not longer. Like I remember having you keep them until they can't perform their job anymore. Right?
Yes, exactly. Some of these new MacBook Pros, though, I'm telling you, sheesh.
Oh, with the M1 chip.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty hot, dude. That's an amazing computer.
Yeah.
But it's true. I know I've heard of stories about there was this agency that like in the first 3 years of business, they managed to bill like $250,000 a year.
That's pretty good.
Great for, like a 2-person operation. Oh. Yet they were 40 grand in debt.
What?
Yes. And this is what I mean. It's just like, just increasing your hourly rate is not enough if you don't know what to increase it to or why the hell you're increasing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
And that's a challenge. I know, right? Like it's not what you make, it's what you keep at the end of the day.
Right.
And nobody realizes that, right? Yeah. So, it's one thing to be saying, hey, I charge $100 an hour, but if you're burning $125 an hour in everything else,
yes.
Whoa, what good are you?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the part that I think a lot of this, it's tough.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I some of them struggle. Some of them, that's the part that actually makes them go work for other people.
Yeah.
Because they can't handle it.
You just can't handle that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough. I mean, I'm sure you must have faced that crisis at some points.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Like my whole career has been like just this, right?
It's not always been sunshine and rainbows, right?
And the thing is, it's such a fucking pain.
Yeah.
Like what you should do.
Yeah.
But it's just a pain in the ass to do it. Like, yeah, I get it. Like I should be charging enough. I should be estimating a job project when I get it, but as creatives, you're just like, yeah. I just want the job. Let me get started on it. Let me just get it started. Sure. That's enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's such a pain to actually sit there, put your big boy or big girl pants on and
figure the
shit out like you should, right? And then it's like, on top of that, okay, even if you are like, you do sit down and you actually bill a job for an awesome amount, then you got to track your hours against it.
Yes.
To make sure, not necessarily to make sure that you blew it on this job per se. Of course, that's one part. But then to know next time that this same similar job comes up,
then you're going to have, hey, I've got, wait a minute. You're going to rifle through your notes and you're going to be like, shit, this is just exactly what I did.
Same type of job.
I know how much this costs. I know how much to spend on this.
Yep.
I know how much time is going to go into this.
Yep.
Right?
Well, and again, web jobs are a perfect example of this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
More or less, a web project is the same. You're going through the same process. Granted, some websites are bigger, some websites are smaller.
Right.
But again, you realize that if you charge like 10 grand for a website, that sounds like a good number.
Yeah.
Depending on the website, maybe it is. But if you're not doing it all yourself, you have to bring in a coder to actually do the site, like the code portion of the site. Then you've got to consider your hosting fees, wherever that is. Then you've got to, there's going to always be revisions.
Yes.
And then unfortunately, those revisions sometimes involve the backend coder again, which then goes back. They have to recode. All of a sudden, this $10,000 website cost you $9,000, which leaves you $1,000 of profit.
Yes.
Which is like 10%, which is shit.
Yeah, which is not good. Yeah,
right?
That's not what you want.
So, I mean, the big challenge here is like, mind you, we figured that out quick. I remember we went from like $500 web project, and we used to think that was great.
It was awesome.
And that was like literally 2002.
Oh, okay.
We were just like, wow, we got $500 for a website. Let's just do that. And I mean, there wasn't much to them back then.
Yeah, he's just going to say,
pretty much it. A couple JPEGs on there. But then I remember we got $1,500, right? And it was just like, fuck, that's great. Yeah. Wow. We went from 15, and then we were like, you know what? We bigger agency. We got this big company. Like, okay, we'll give you a chance. Quote us on the website. Yeah. We charged them $4 grand. They told us it was too much money. They didn't go with us.
No.
I was like, what the fuck? $4 grand? I wasn't discouraged though. Yeah. I wasn't discouraged because then the next company, I charged them $5. We won that one.
Oh, and you did.
And then I was like, shit, there really wasn't much difference between at that point the $1,000 projects or the $1,500 and the $5,000.
Yeah.
And then it went from the 5 to the 10. There wasn't that much difference between the 5 and the 10, right? And then this is how it just kept on going. When you realize, right? Because we know roughly the amount of hours that went into the first.
Because you've tracked all this
we've tracked it, so we actually had an idea of what it was, and then we also tracked the costs.
And the costs.
So this is where the ballparking comes in, right? This is how you can actually you can be like, while I can't actually tell you, Sean, how much your website's going to be, because our process involves a lot more in-depth research and questions and this and that. Right. What I can tell you is similar jobs to what we're talking about right now. In the past, I've charged 20 grand for, 30 grand for, 50 grand for, right? Yeah. But I can tell you one thing. There wasn't much difference between a $20,000 website and a $50,000 website. Yeah, really? Right? But it's the confidence in that ballparking part. And they're like, wow, these guys know, especially when you're able to break all that shit down.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? So it's important to know, right? Like it is important to know, although I hate quoting projects ahead of time and I hate tracking. Oh, fuck, do I hate time. I'm sorry that I make you guys do that, but we need to have an idea because some of our customers need that.
Yes.
But, that was like, my Achilles heel. And then thereafter tracking the cost. I mean, it makes a difference. You need that.
Tracking hours for the staff and stuff like that, it's not really that bad.
Oh, no, it's not. As long as people don't mind, like you log in a project, these are the hours you spent, move on to the next, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, that's a necessary evil at this point, right? It's baked in now. You just immediately start on login.
And you do it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Exactly. And it's good for reference and that kind of thing, right? So some workarounds are pretty easy to fix, right?
I hope so. Anyway, well, let's hope. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of other creators. They're okay. So I don't think people share pricing because my colleagues, very few of us, share actual pricing and how much we actually charge. But well, actually, I'm an idiot. I tell everybody. I'm an idiot, but nobody ever tells me back. And either it's because I'm charging too much or too little. But I think we're doing okay. In all fairness, I think we're charging just enough. But I mean, again, so a lot of times I know people just like they charge what their colleagues charge or they think what other artists charge, right? And I don't know if that's not good. That's definitely not a good way.
This is not good. And again, this is back to what we were talking about at the beginning. It's like there's not a lot of subject matter on this stuff. Like, I don't know what David Carson's charging for a job.
Jeez,
you know what I mean?
Have an idea though.
I could bet it's pretty, or Paula Scher.
I would like to charge David Carson prices.
We've got some kind of ballparks with the Citibank logo and things like that.
Well,
right?
Interesting. Okay, so you know what? Yeah, let's talk about different ways of charging.
Okay,
let's give people some ideas here, right? Some fundamental ideas. Yeah. So obviously, when you're a freelancer or mostly freelancer, right? Mm-hmm. Hourly charge. Your hourly rate is pretty much what they go. And even some agencies will do an hourly rate, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, so, you've got a baseline and you're like, okay, I charge this much an hour. Yeah. Plain and simple, right? Yeah. So how do people come up with that figure, right? So I kind of came up with a formula that I've told many people and it seems to work, right? Because unfortunately, with an hourly rate, there's a couple factors you have to consider. Of course, your experience, right? But also where you are. Like physically located, right? Because you're going to have other freelancers in your area, right? Doing exactly what you're doing. Okay. Yeah. So for freelancers, what I tell them is, okay, right off the bat, right? Take minimum wage wherever it is that you are,
right?
Double that fucker. Right off the bat.
Wow.
Because, minimum wage is generally like unskilled labor. It's like you can work at McDonald's, you can work at a diner. You don't need any skill. You're just a body. Yep. Okay. Yep. Well, you are providing a skilled service, whether you went to school or this or that. So right off the bat, charge double wherever you are, freelance. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then for every year you are in business and every year experience, add $5.
Oh, nice.
Right? Add $3 to $5 based on inflation. Yeah. So if you are, in a place like, okay, so right now, where we are right now, minimum wage is like $14 a fucking hour.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So double it, 28. Yeah. And then let's say I've been doing this for 3 years. A 3-year is $40 an hour really outrageous to say for a 3-year? So you're not fresh, you're not brand new, right? You've been doing this for 3 years. That's a pretty solid freelance rate.
That's true, yeah.
Right? That's fair. Yeah. That's fair for that amount of experience. Yep. Now, same area, let's say you've been doing this for 10 years, right? Yep. All of a sudden, your freelance rate, it's like $75, $80 an hour.
Right.
That's realistic for this area if you're a freelancer. Yeah. If all else, you're working from home, right? And you want to charge hourly, that's a pretty good hourly rate.
That's pretty good. And you got to consider too, you're going to be faster than that guy at $40 an hour, right? So
absolutely.
I mean, that's good.
So there's so many other additional factors, right? That take into consideration. So I think that's an easy way to I don't know. I think that's an easy way if you're a freelancer on how to do it.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, for some agencies, it doesn't necessarily work like that either, though, right? So, we have to kind of figure out, how to do that as an agency if you want to do like an hourly rate. Right. So, obviously, if I had to figure out initially, and we've tried all of these over 20 years. I'm not going to lie. I've tried every fucking thing to try to figure out how the hell. So, obviously, the agency, it's a little bit more complicated, but ultimately, you got to figure out what the hell your costs are.
Right.
you can either go over a week's period, a month's period, or even the course of a year, and then back that shit up all the way over to figure out what you need, per hour, and then you pad it with your profit margin.
Oh.
Okay. But I don't like that.
Oh, okay.
Because again,
really?
it was I'm not a big fan of hourly rates anyway, especially for agencies.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it is something necessary for quoting purposes.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
However, what I always did, right, and this is kind of me cheating because I'm your typical lazy fucking designer when it comes to I just want to get in there and do the work, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't actually figure out what my rate is per hour.
Yeah.
Right? I'd figure out what that day rate is. Okay. And basically, we were charging customers basically a half day or a full day rate for projects. Because now all of a sudden, it made things a hell of a lot fucking easier. Right? So it's like customer comes up and they're like, hey, I need some changes to a website, blah, blah, blah. Can you do it? Right? You look at it, you can ballpark, you're like, you know what? I'm guessing this is a full day's worth of work.
Yeah.
Our agency rate, full day, $1,500.
Right.
$2,000, right? It was an easy way to just kind of get. So, I mean, again, it's the same idea, right? Figuring out, backing out, right? Like, I want our agency to make $500,000 a year and back all the way out. Well, we need with profit approximately $1,500 a day, right?
Yeah.
So you could easily ballpark that shit for, per rate.
Right.
So that's kind of one thing that worked for me, and again, and that was a hell of a lot easier. I was able to just throw out numbers a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, I got better and better at those numbers. So then all of a sudden it was an agency rate, the day's rate, but then it would be day's rate for Sean doing something, day's rate for Caitlin doing something, right? So all of a sudden it's like that day rate started getting bigger and bigger and bigger because now two of you are working on half day jobs,
right? And
you still had a whole full day. So it's still, it worked out so much easier to just kind of, and it just made pricing so much easier for customers.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Full agency rate, half day agency rate, done deal. So of course, the issues though with hourly rates, right? And like I said, it's not ideal, okay? Is of course, the good thing is the more you work, the more you make.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
Fine, good, happy. But that's also the problem, right? It's also the problem because it just, number one, it shows inexperience. If you can't actually estimate how long something's going to take you, inexperience.
Yep.
Okay, customers are like, well, you don't know.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to charge you by the hour and however long it takes. No. It doesn't work like that, right? And just the whole premise of hourly charges, right? It's kind of broken because obviously as a designer, you want as many hours as possible to be billing.
That's exactly it.
But the customer wants to pay as less hours as possible.
As little as possible.
So you want more. The customer was hoping you go less.
Yes.
So it's a flawed system. It's not a good way and it sucks. Right. So it's, it kind of keeps your costs in check and keeps things in line, but it is a flawed system. It keeps everybody, on the edge. So I'm not a fan of that one.
I see what you're saying on that. And I think if you're a designer and you're trying to swindle somebody out of your client out of, like you're milking it big time.
Yep.
And I know a dude who kind of does this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not on his own. He's really slow. He's just a super slow guy. But you know what I mean? Like I think that does you a disservice too. Like if you're charging by the hour and you complete it in say 4 hours, half a day, that you're going to get that client is going to be saying, oh, that's awesome. I would have thought this was taking a day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
This could make for more work.
Well, absolutely.
Yes.
But it also leaves work on the table.
But
it
does.
Customers, like, I was
the
thinking
thing.
it could have been more. And
That's
you're like,
exactly it, right?
So you have to make sure you're happy with that hourly rate.
Yes.
Like if you're doing an hourly rate and because you're still inexperienced and you're still trying to get where you are.
Yes.
Right. You got to make sure that there's profit there and you're happy with whatever rate.
Right.
Pad it. Double it if you have to.
But don't fuck around.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't fuck around. Do whatever, right? But the better you get, and this is where the importance of tracking a job comes into play.
Right.
Because the first time you created this brochure, it took you 8 hours.
Yeah.
Customer was happy to pay 8 hours. Okay.
Yeah.
The fifth time you did this, it only took you 4 hours.
Right.
Do you charge 4? You should be charging the 8.
You really should.
But
because
this is where the experience part comes in. Right. And you can still charge for that just because you're getting better at what you're doing.
Yes.
But then that now doesn't become hourly. That's where we're now into flat rate pricing, right? Exactly. So this is where it's important to keep track of how you're actually working, how long shit takes you, whether you make it formal or informal, because then when you get into a flat rate price, right, which is kind of like the next thing, this is based on experience, but you need data in order to make these quotes.
This is true.
That's what the whole point is of flat rate
pulling
pricing.
Shit out of the air.
Yes. Well, you can. It might not work for you, right? Exactly. But I mean, basically you're estimating, what similar jobs have taken in the past. Definitely you pad that shit, right? In case there's other variables, assume that there's going to be revisions, this, that, right? But I mean, and again, basically you firm that shit up and you deliver that to the customer, right? Yep. And again, if you get better and better and better at what you do, you could be charging what used to take you 10 hours, charging for 10 hours, but only takes you 2 now. And the thing is, customers, they don't care, because again, they're happy to pay that price at 10, which means you should be raising your rates ultimately. But and that's something that, again, it's this is where the experience comes in, right? It's like we almost kind of graduate into this next area every time we get in further, right?
Exactly.
So to me, flat rate pricing makes most sense when you have more experience.
Yes.
Okay. Because there's a lot to it, right?
Right.
But again, you have to take into consideration your costs. You have to take into obviously your time, and then anything else. And then again, what people forget to obviously include in this, when it comes to your time, you also got to take into consideration research time, right? Your revisions time. So there's a lot more to this than just a matter of slapping a price out there because you can.
Yeah.
Right.
How many times have you done a website where the client was a nightmare and was revision crazy, and you're just like, you just had to let it go? You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
Yeah. Like it's just like, this is not working.
This is where you have to make sure you get those deposits so it covers your ass.
Yes.
Because I remember we had a dream job come through, and it was a big company that we wanted to work for a long time with, right? And they got us to give them a quote on just the all the legwork, the research, the development, and the creative for a website.
Wow.
But not necessarily the build. They wanted to do that internally. And I was like, okay, great.
All right.
We'll charge you the full price of what we would charge for a website, but we're only doing half the work.
Yeah.
Right. But we're doing, to my opinion, was the most valuable work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we started building them in succession, right? In pieces and pieces and pieces. And although our contact was amazing, the rest of the company was a fucking shit show. It was so, and they were, we were learning all this stuff about they have a high churn rate and, they can't keep employees and this. And then all of a sudden you're realizing you guys are a fucking disaster, right? So good thing we were actually getting deposits every stage, because we didn't complete the project because we couldn't.
Because
they wanted to take it in house. They were convinced that they could do it better in house, and it's still like 18 months later. There's no change. There's no new website, because right from the start they were asking for shit, and I was like, guys, this isn't gonna work. Trust me, we've done enough of this. This isn't. This is what we want. Okay,
fine.
Good luck with that. Needless to say, nobody there was driving an old Corvette. That's for sure. But maybe we were after the fact. But no, the reality is, but so we started getting so comfortable with what was involved and what was involved in our, that it was like, hey, you know what? We took the chance. We got the job. Yeah. We knew we were, we had the expertise for it, but in their sense, they messed that one up. But so, flat rate is huge. You have to make sure that you include everything: your research time, your revisions time, your sneeze time, anything you want, even add time. And I hate to say this, but as creatives, we can't clock out at 6. You're thinking about it at night. You're thinking about it on weekends in the shower, while you're taking a shave, while you're shitting, whatever you do, you're on the clock. So account for that. Like, you really need to. And this is why flat rate works well in that sense. You make sure you pad it to include all your brilliance in that sense.
Nice.
Right? Yeah. So that's flat rate.
That's great.
Retainer based is the other side, right?
Here we go.
This is, so again, I'm obviously a fan of retainer based. I think anybody with a fucking half a brain is into retainers. There's some people online, they're like, oh, retainers are a waste of money. I'm like, dudes, really? You would rather hunt for every single, like, it's fucking a disaster.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Retainer based is basically when you receive a regular amount of money every month for an agreed upon set of deliverables. You got a relationship with the customer.
Yeah.
However you've set this retainer up, and I'll give an example or two here. You're basically getting money every single month. You don't have to quote every individual job, right? Everything comes down to ballparks. You should track hours against it, so at least you know if you're doing them a disservice, and
you've gone over,
but more for you, exactly, right? Because if you're not tracking hours, then you don't know how to raise those rates,
right?
And let me tell you, the right customers, you keep working that customer and showing them value and delivering time and time again. They will let you raise that rate over.
They're not going to have a problem with that.
Exactly.
How many times does that happen with our major client?
Well,
here, right?
And again, it's because you start off with a small budget, and then you're finding out, hey, I can help you with this. I can help you with that. You keep going and going. So now a retainer base, of course, so it's kind of a combination of both, right? So how we use retainers is, with brand new customers, okay, that don't have a retainer contract with us, and they're like, oh, I don't know about this. So we just signed somebody on, right?
Yeah.
So to prove ourselves, what we did is we sat down with them and said, listen, for the next 12 months, okay, what have you got going in the industry? Well, we've got 2 trade shows, plus we've got, this webinar and this and that. And okay, what else? Well, we want to update our website, and we want to do this and we want to do that. So we sat down and basically did 12 months of what they are hoping to achieve. Okay. We then took that number. We're like, look, here's roughly what this would cost. Do you agree? We sat down, we negotiated a little bit with them, right? And they're like, yeah, you know what? Okay, I could see how that could all be, at the end of all said and done, $100,000, right? Fine, I could see that. I'm like, okay, well, let me make your life easier. Okay. This is the list of deliverables that we're going to work on for the next 12 months. Okay. We're going to divide this cost up into 12 months to make your life easy. So you're not paying us $20,000 1 month and then you're dry for 2 months and then another $30,000. We'll divide that figure up into 12 months.
Right.
Okay. And this is the list that we agreed to today.
Yeah.
But by all means, if anything comes up and you want to bump any of these, no problems.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Yes.
And we will track our hours every month to make sure we're still in line with the figure. And if it changes, okay, and we monitor this quarterly, every quarter, because again, you can't do month by month.
That's too
absolutely
much.
You can't do this.
You need a full-time body to track all that stuff, right?
But not just that though, because anything can happen from month to month. Somebody can go on vacation for a week, right? So you need a quarter. You need 3 months to kind of get a decent average. Okay. Then you're like, after that quarter, we'll review hours. We'll see if the hours are for or against our original plan. And if we have to adjust, we either adjust by taking jobs away, right? Or we adjust the retainer moving forward.
Right.
And this is how the retainer keeps going. So we've agreed to 10 projects. By the end of the year, we might actually have 15 projects, right? Not the original projects, but better ones.
But other ones.
But the thing is, you're developing this trust, this ongoing, they're relying on you and you're relying on them on a monthly basis, right? Like, think about it. You don't have to do the shit that we hate. like again, I fucking hate quoting jobs. I will turn jobs away just because I don't feel like quoting them. It's true. I'm just like, wow, that's just so much work. It's going to have to pass on that one.
See, what a difference from the past, right? You just you chase after somebody that you really, really wanted. Now it's just like,
well, because in the end, you learn the juice isn't worth the squeeze in some of these cases, right?
I like it. That's great,
and it's true, and that's why it's like the retainer thing. It works. Like even like you break it down, like they're like, oh well, we could hire somebody for like that kind of cost. It's like, no, you can't. Think about it. You're gonna hire. We're an agency, right? We can do everything from web to design to copywriting. We can help you with everything in between. You're gonna hire what? A full-time graphic designer. And I'm sorry if you're an in-house designer. I'm not dissing you, but the reality is, out of a 37 and a half hour work week, right? Really, what are you working? Really? Okay. Are you sure you're clocking 25 actual hours a week? Right. And then they got to pay, up here, the government taxes, right down in the states, health taxes. There's so much. And the thing is, it's still usually a very niche skill set. They would need to hire 2 or 3 different people. So, we're more, as designers, we're more efficient. We can do a full brochure. If they need some HTML, I'm sure most designers out there know that. If not, I'm sure most designers can reach out to somebody that can do it within the hours.
Exactly.
And that's how we started. Right. We weren't able to provide every single service that we had under the retainer.
Right.
But we made sure that hourly retainer rate covered if we had to bring in a third party, and we still made that 20%.
Yes.
Right. Again, and it's all clocked by the hour. So to me, like the retainer base, and it's nice, and it's not like everything fell under retainer. That's key, right?
Yes.
Like if they all of a sudden had, for example, our awesome, super autonomous, robot cleaning company is on a retainer.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
But we just overhauled their website. That's outside of the retainer agreement.
Right.
Right. Because that's a big one-off project that was kind of way out of scope, and it couldn't be absorbed in the retainer.
Right.
They had a separate budget. Now we launched it. It's gone. Now we're back to retainer. We're maintaining it. We're updating it. We're doing the SEO on a regular basis. So again, the retainer is a good set, but it still keeps you in touch with that company.
Yes.
On it. Oh, I'm a huge fan of retainer, obviously.
And this is the thing. It's like exactly like you said. You're on a retainer with somebody. You've got this set of things that you're doing, and then they're like, these guys are really good.
Yes.
Could they do our website maybe?
Yes.
Let's get the budgets for that, and then boom, they throw that over the fence.
Well, because again, if you're proving to be somebody reliable,
that's exactly
that they, again, for zfactor, one of the reasons why we grew the way we did, never said no to a project. Even if I didn't know how to fucking do it on a Friday, you're damn straight, by Monday, I would be an expert. I didn't know how to do videos. I became an expert over the weekend to do videos, right? And this is, same with web, same with this. But the thing is, you develop a relationship with the customer, and they know they can count on you.
That's exactly.
And that's more valuable than, they realize you got a certain quality, a certain skill set. They will learn to count on you, and they will give you right or refusal on projects. Yeah. That's huge. You want that.
Yeah.
To me, I mean, again, retainer based, and then again, because you have the opportunity to do other type of projects, it's perfect.
It's right? Absolutely perfect. Yeah. And you don't have to friggin' frag around with all the
no friggin', no frag. Friggin' frag. That's a good one.
You like that? That's my trailer park boys.
Friggin' rag. Okay, but we're not done. There is something else.
Oh.
There is another way of pricing.
What?
Right? There is another one. And
there is another.
Yoda. This is okay. It's hot. Everybody's talking about this one, right? This is this whole value-based bullshit, right? Which is basically time, expenses plus value. Okay, but the problem is nobody can fucking agree what this value-based pricing is, right? Okay. And it's frustrating because, I mean, you try to, you research it, and one person saying this, one person, it's fucking confusing as hell, okay? But ultimately, it basically, it's setting a price for something, okay? And then obviously padding it or adding the extra value, okay, to that project, okay?
Yes.
So it's the perceived value. And this is something that I was always big on 20 years now. I've always been, it's not what you're doing, it's the perceived value it has to the customer.
Yes.
Okay. For example, something silly like, the first time we did a form for a website, right, to capture emails and such. Well, that very first time, 15 years ago, that took us like a whole day to figure out, right? And holy shit, all said and done, the customer was happy to pay $3,000. It took us a whole day.
Yeah.
The fifth time we did it, it took a morning, if not half a morning.
Exactly.
But we still charged the same because the perceived value to the customer was exactly the same as it was to the first customer that took us forever, right?
Yeah.
So, this is something that there has to be a value to the customer, perceived value to the customer, right? So that's kind of this whole idea of value-based, right? You can set a higher price, but then, and it has to have that value to the customer, to their impression, right?
Yeah.
But again, you have to be able to back that shit
somehow, you gotta be able to do it.
way.
That's right.
Okay.
That's the weekend reading up on things and becoming the expert on Monday, right?
My opinion.
Totally, yeah.
So the key word here though is value, and that's the gray area in this value-based pricing.
Right.
I look at it one way, other people talk about it another way, right? So to me, obviously, value is more so the value you bring because of who you are.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is, polisher, however we say it, polisher.
Sure.
One of these days she's going to call and be like, fucking say it right. This is how you say it.
We'll be like, yes. She knows who we are.
So because of who she is, right? And her past jobs and the status and this and that, right?
Right.
She was able to, more or less charge $1 million for coming up with that little city logo on a napkin, more or less, in 15, 20 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And although they maybe quabbled about it, right? And a little bit, I think there was a little bit of tension, right? It was $1 million for the logo and $2 million for the rollout materials.
Right.
Nonetheless, the perceived value is they hired Polishure, so they knew one way or another, they gave her some sort of perceived value.
Right.
Her. Okay. Now, another way to think of perceived value, which is how we look at this, is you are an expert within a niche.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a very, very specific niche, right?
Yes.
We're brand strategy and creative direction for B2B technology companies.
Yep.
Not only that, we really, really buckle down in IoT and broadband, right? Those are a really core niche.
Yep.
We know we have this higher than average understanding of how this shit works.
Yes.
And couple that with what we do for a living, we can go into virtually any one of these companies that fits our mold.
Yeah.
And be like, dude, you don't have to tell me about your company. I already know your company.
Yeah, exactly.
This is what else I can do above it.
Yes.
So now all of a sudden they're like, holy shit, those guys are double the price of these other agencies.
Yeah.
But they already know everything.
But we don't have to explain it to them what we're doing.
Right. So it's a perceived value to them, right? And again, that helps us, that works for us, right? It lands us customers, and it lands us better customers, quality customers, conversations, right? Because we have a perceived value as an expert, right?
Right.
So to me, that's what value-based pricing is that's the perceived value, right? The experience that we have, whether it's being in business for 20 years and knowing this form, that should take a day, only takes us 2 hours, or we're Polishure, or we're experts. To me, that's the value.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this other school of thought out there that value-based is on the performance. You try to get a quote based on the performance it's going to bring to that company.
Oh.
Like whatever you create, it's like the performance, right?
So this is just going to make you X amount of dollars.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So, and I know you've seen it, right? It's like there's this video out there with, Christo, and Christo's a brilliant guy. I love that guy, and he's a really nice guy and a lot of really good stuff. But there's a video going around about, how he explains value-based pricing. And he's like having this conversation with this person in his audience who seems to be somebody who kind of understands graphic design, and he's playing the role of the customer. And Chris is like, well, listen, you know what? I want to charge you, if I make you a website and it's going to bring you $500,000 worth of work, is that going to be worth $50,000 to you?
Yeah.
And the other guy's playing the customer, and they say, well, yeah, of course, right? He's like, well, if it's going to cost you, if it's going to bring $1 million worth of work, is it worth for you to pay $100,000? Is $100,000 worth $1 million? Well, duh. And of course, anybody would in that sense, right? If you can, but I mean, that's where kind of the flaw is, right? It's like, it's hard on so many levels for some. Number one, if somebody, that was a perfect example, because that guy, obviously, he was that they were role playing with, had no clue.
Exactly.
He had no clue. So it's like, okay, sure, I would pay $50,000 for a website that got me $500,000 of maybe clean profit.
Yeah.
But if it was $500,000 of sales, and my net is 20%, so only $100,000, well, would I pay you $50,000 for $100,000 worth of profit? Probably not.
Yeah.
Right. It needs to be much more, because there's so many other ways this could go. Right.
Exactly.
You need to be an expert. Understanding. You need confidence to know. And hey, I get it. You can be pretty fucking confident to say, my websites are going to be really good.
Yeah.
And I know my website is going to perform better.
Yes.
But for somebody else to take that risk and be like, sure, here you go, because there's no guarantees.
This is true.
Right. And it's like, what do they value in this sense? And I get his stance. It's just, it's hard on so many levels to qualify for the average person.
Right.
And that's the key, right? For the average person.
Yeah. And I don't think he's coming from that angle.
Well, no,
he's really not an average person.
No, he's not. But he is like, he is now more like a Polishure.
Yes.
Right. He's got more that kind of credibility. He's like an influencer.
Yeah.
People will give him money because he's got this persona now and who he is.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. So now, that's one thing for him. Now, take someone like you. I don't even think I could pull that shit off, to be honest.
I think you could.
I don't know if I could, but something like that's hard to scope.
You'd be nicer than him.
Maybe, right? Maybe a little bit. Definitely more humble.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I love that guy. Don't worry.
He's pretty awesome. But you're right. I agree with the
side. But I think that's his shtick. That's cool. But I mean, again, even when it comes to the fact of how do you handle scope changes?
Yeah.
Okay. So all of a sudden the customer's like, okay, fine. if you build me a kick-ass website and, you're 100% sure that, let's say, forget it, all said and done, I'm confident that your website's going to get me $1 million clean money. So I'll pay you 50 grand. Well, what about when I need new pages added to it? Or what about if all of a sudden I need something new added to them? Is that included? Into that? Or is that I need new pages in this website. Am I charging on? Is that all included? There's so many variables in that theory, and he's not the only one, of course. I'm not picking on him. He's a very big example of that online that you can. His comes up when you go value-based pricing, but everybody else talks about it like it's so easy to do. And try to get that data from a customer.
Right.
And that's the thing. A lot of times they have 10 sales reps, 5. Even I'm thinking some of my smaller sales reps. If I was to be like, okay, we did a website for you and we agreed to 50 grand, show me your sales. They're not going to say that. They're not going to be like, here you go, let me open it up. They won't. All said and done, it's like you're headed down this road of just, it's so uncomfortable, dude.
It's not a, you're absolutely right. Cause it's like, is it a one and done kind of scenario? Or is there add-ons to it?
Well, and that's what I mean. How do you bill for that, right?
Yeah.
So there's too much there, especially because if I'm not mistaken, I think he might have been somebody who was against retainer-based pricing. I think.
Really?
I think so, right? And again, I hate the idea of just, constantly hunting for work every week because you don't know. Man, retainers make life so much easier. So, nonetheless, zfactor, we price based on retainers. Okay. So obviously we have a few different pricing models. Number one, retainer-based pricing. We try for hard as much as we can.
Yes.
Not for the fact that it's a giant money maker. Because retainer-based, it covers the costs on a day-to-day basis. We'll say for like half, maybe 2/3 of the team, right? It covers us, keeps us going, right? And then we do bigger one-off projects, flat pricing, whether it's with those customers, whether it's with other customers, right? And that's the money that we actually use above and beyond. So we still use the same team because we make sure we're not working you guys 100% within retainer.
Right.
You can still take on all these extra projects, right?
Yes.
So the extra stuff is usually where we bank the money. So the retainer covers all of our expenses, covers salaries, covers our lunches, our overhead, blah, 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 and then puts a little bit in the bank for rainy day.
Right.
These bigger projects put more money in a way for the bad rainy days. It allows us to do bigger initiatives. We're talking about goofy games and stuff like that. That's what, the bigger one-off projects do.
Yes.
And for those, obviously they're flat rate priced. Okay. But we track all those hours and we make sure that there's clause in there that protects our ass. And that flat base pricing is always got value added to that. It's always, so it's flat rate, but it's based on a value.
Right.
They're not, we're not just taking somebody off the street who comes in and is like, I need a website. I got 20 grand. You want to do it? No, fuck you. But if somebody calls us from California or whatever, they're like, hey, I've got an IT company, this, that, I need a website. My budget's 40 grand. Come on in, let's talk, right? Because now we're willing to provide you something more than just our time, and our daily energy type thing, right?
Yes.
So that's how we price things here, right? It doesn't work for everybody, but I honestly find that over the years, this was the easiest way. This kind of gets that perfect meld because it's a perfect blend of covering our day-to-day costs, which is a blessing.
Yes.
Right? We don't have to do the shit that we hate on a daily basis. We just do it for the bigger projects that we accept. And if a project is worth, but if somebody comes to us and not to sound like a snob, but if they're like, hey, I've got a budget of $5 grand and I need a website, it's like, you know what? No, I can't. I can refer you to somebody. I can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, we're never dicks about it.
Yeah, no, you're thinking more big picture items.
Bigger picture. It's going to be worthwhile.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. And let me tell you, and those projects get better and better because people see value in the expertise that we have.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of that.
It's funny because I watched that video with Chris and he was talking about their, she was approaching him like, well, I want to do your brand strategy too. It's like, this is exactly what it is. It's like, we do the brand strategy stuff.
Yes.
And then, oh, hey, I have a website on top of that. So it's like kind of almost like the opposite.
Absolutely.
It's going to be, going to be an extra piece. Like this is not part of your retainer based, you're going to pay for the way
above and beyond, right?
Exactly.
Well, and that's why it's important to scope out what the retainer
without
is
the upsell.
Yes. Well, it is 100%. Look, people are trying to develop a trusting relationship with somebody that they can rely on.
Yes.
You don't even have to fucking know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Sometimes they'll give it to you because they just don't want to learn it themselves. And they're like, hey, you know what? I'll fucking pay you to do it.
Chuck this over the fence to zfactor.
Seriously.
They'll know how to do it.
They'll do it. And I mean, figure it out. We have gotten jobs for that.
Yes.
Because people are like, you know what? I know you'll be able to figure it out. It's like, okay, you're willing to pay me to figure out. But because there's other things, they know that we commit. They know that when we promise to deliver at all costs, we deliver.
Yeah.
They know that we have a certain level of quality or a style or we understand their brand and we can project manage for them. You know, like there's so many other factors here that it's just like once you get to that sweet spot, dude, like it's just it's a game changer.
It is big time. Yeah. I totally see your point with the retainer. I think that's a brilliant way.
And that's taken along many years.
Exactly.
Because nobody knew how to do that. And it's one thing to, you know, when you have a customer on a regular basis. Yeah. But it's getting them to commit to that first idea of how much are we actually going to pay? Like that's a lot.
Yeah.
You know what? You break it out for 12 months, for 6 months, you know, and you're like, hey, this is how much it's going to cost you anyway. Break it up month by month. Yeah. Let's be committed to each other. Yeah. I'll give you, you know, X amount of hours every month so I can get to know your space. I can get to know, you know, your industry. I can get to know your clients because now you're committing to me. I'm going to commit more to you.
Yes.
Right. And this is how we became experts. Yeah. Right. Like again, it was a matter of committing to the few right customers, investing in our time, our energy into understanding that space, that niche, and becoming experts. Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. So you want to be that expert for every one of your retainer customers.
Totally.
So huge game changer for us.
Yeah, and we certainly fill that role for sure.
I think so.
And expanding a retainer, is it difficult? Is
it's not difficult because again,
because of the value that you've put into this.
Exactly. Yes. If it's a shitty relationship, never go back ask for more money. But if you're happy, if they're happy, if you're providing, you're hitting deadlines, you're becoming an invaluable part of their team, and it's like they almost can't rely with function without you. Yeah. Then it's like, hey, listen, here you go. Yeah. You know, it's now for the past 3 months we've been over hours. Right. How do you want to handle this moving forward? Yeah. You know, you might have to eat 5 or 10 hours to be like, you know what, I should have brought this to you sooner. Yeah. Yeah. But moving forward, and I've done that many times. It's like I watch, and if we're like only a little bit over, you know, I'll be like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to charge you for this. Yeah. But we have to keep eye on this moving forward. Right. Are you willing to expand that? If not, I have to be harder moving forward. Yes. And either they'll be like, you know what? Yeah. Add another 10 hours a month. Yeah. Or they're like, no, you know what? We're tight right now. Lock us down. Let us know when you're at that rate.
And then we'll stop. Yeah. Yeah.
Never ever happens.
Exactly.
It's always like add 10 more hours. Always.
Which is awesome. And sometimes some clients will have ups and downs with monthly, right?
Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
You're going to be busier 1 month. Well,
that's why you have
but you're
to
getting
do
that flat rate all the way through.
Exactly. You have to do quarters. You have to do quarters. And FYI, it gets hard over the summer months. Oh. Because everybody's always on holidays. Oh. There's always time where you're low hours, which is why those quarters can also help you out. Right. Yeah. Because again, usually July and August, those are hard hours. I mean, we shut down for a week. Other people shut down for a week. They go on vacations. That one's a little hard to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is true.
Well, with that being said, guys, I hope you like what you heard this episode, but there was so much to cover, and we love you guys so much. And we've been neglected. It's been like 2 weeks since we've been able to. It's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time that we've been able to. Sorry. That, you know, we decided to make this a second episode the following week. So please, by all means, follow us, hit us up, and stay tuned for next week's episode. We're going to have some really cool shit coming in for next week. The second part of this episode is going to be awesome. No?
Yeah, that's right. It's totally awesome. It's mistakes that you make or you shouldn't make that we'll point out that you don't want to make them.
You don't want to. And some of the biggest differences for zfactor.
Yes.
And what worked for us. Yeah. Huge things that changed our business. Yeah. That's what's coming next week. Yeah, so really by all means, you want to tune into this shit next week. And sorry if you stopped short in this episode. Suckers. But for the ones of you that are going to be listening in, hit us up on our Instagram. Yep. Say hi. Give us any tips, any ideas, what you want to hear, what you want to say, or just give us like virtual high fives. Because again, we're just having some awesome conversations.
We like those.
Yeah, right? Really cool. My name is Massimo.
And my name is Sean.
Stay creative.
And stay angry.
Peace.